So my name is Jess. I'm originally from Leeds, and I went to just a pretty normal state school and applied for theology, and came to Cambridge to King's College to study that in 2012. So I myself didn't study religious studies at A level. I studied art, politics, English and history, but was interested in the kind of philosophical, theological questions contained in those subjects. So art, these questions of what beauty is and why something's beautiful, or history, the motivations that people have given for going on extremely destructive wars or rampages, that kind of thing. So yeah, not having a kind of formal background in religious studies, but acknowledging that the nature of your questions is philosophical and theological, is not a hindrance at all to pursuing theology at undergraduate level. Squeeze that in there. So once I finished my undergrad in 2015, I initially took on a year-long internship at an international NGO called Christian Aid. And I was working in the Policy and Public Affairs department there. They have a small theology team that work on producing sort of theological reflections on issues like human rights or gender justice and that kind of thing. So I worked there for a year. And then I returned to Cambridge to Emmanuel College to do an MPhil. And then I, at the end of that, moved over to Trinity College to do a PhD, which I just finished in December. So I think for me, one of the major contributions of having studied theology is coming out of it with a strong confidence in being able to read and write quite well. And that has served me really well across the different professional environments that I've been in. If you can trust your ability to read and write, that is just going to be pretty handy wherever you are. So right now I'm working in an architecture practice, and even there having this practice and skill of reading and writing is extremely useful. So yeah, even in settings that seem to have very little relation to theology, that background has served me well. I think I probably worried quite a lot that I wouldn't meet people from a similar background, and yeah, that was probably a bit of an anticipation of it being a bit, posh, that kind of thing. I think wherever you are, you manage to find your people one way or another. And that was definitely the case for me. Yeah. So I can definitely remember some kind of standout moments of hearing particular people speak. I managed to wangle a ticket to hear the Dalai Lama, which was pretty memorable. But I think above all, what I remember are the relationships that I formed. And I met my best friend in Cambridge. We met just a few days into Freshers Week, and that's a thrill, meeting people who you really connect with. And then, of course, like the thrill of having these moments where you can feel things coming together in your learning. You can suddenly have placed something in its context and see its resonances, and even see your own kind of emotional engagement with it. That those moments are quite special. And the texts that you are invited to read in theology, texts like Augustine's Confessions, there's a reason that these texts have endured and still matter to people. So reading those for the first time, yeah, those are pretty memorable times. I think when I was applying, I had it in my head that I needed to go and find lots of theological and philosophical things to read as preparation. And it's fine, it's a good thing. But I also think I would advise people to just be led by their own interests, and to ask yourself, what do you want to read and what do you want to watch, and what have you been interested in on television, or what was the last novel you really enjoyed, or the last conversation that you found stimulating, and to ask of those subjects, what does it make you think about what goodness is, or truth, or beauty, and you'll find yourself in theological and philosophical territory just through being led by your own interests and being able to ask those questions, I think. I was really daunted by learning a language, and I didn't particularly enjoy it. But I did meet really good friends who also didn't particularly enjoy it. So there's always a silver lining. And I was also really, really well supported by my director of studies, who arranged for me to have separate additional tuition with a really lovely tutor who actually I'm still in touch with. So yeah, these things have a way of being fine, really. And I suppose just to add to that, I think there's no way I would have, it was really incidental that I ended up learning Greek. I wouldn't have applied for a language course, and I don't think of myself as being particularly good at languages, but there is something rewarding in its own difficult, laborious way of being asked to do something that you wouldn't necessarily choose to. And I found that enriching, really. I can say that now. I don't think I could have said it at the time. I had to really continue wrestling with Greek because my PhD was looking at a thinker whose texts are in Greek. And, you know, I never felt like I really mastered it like some people do. Some people just have a real kind of passion for it. But the moments when I could string a few words together and be able to see something that I couldn't otherwise see, yeah, I mean, it's just invaluable. And those moments stand out as little triumphs. Yeah, and feeling like you're just getting closer to something. Yeah. I would choose theology. There are also so many other things that I would like to study. But I think what's distinctive about theology from my perspective is just how generous it is in allowing you to touch on all of these other different subjects. So within a theology degree, you know, you have this opportunity to learn a language, you get to go down historical routes if that's your thing, touch on sociology, or you know, actually pursue quite literary routes. So it's a generous subject in that respect. And it's great for people who are indecisive and want to study all kinds of things. It wraps it up for you.
Amazing, thank you. And is there anything else that you think it would be useful for someone thinking about this to know, or some experiences or some story you want to tell?
Yeah, I would think. I guess I don't quite know what the point of this is yet, but when I compare my degree to other students' degrees, their experiences of studying different things, I think what really stands out about theology is this emphasis on texts and really taking single texts seriously, and looking at the ways that other people have read these texts and how they're read today. And there seems to be, there's something so kind of beautiful about that, I think, you know, that you have this fairly limited corpus, but you're just going to keep on going with it, and you're going to keep on finding more to it, and you're going to build on the truth that other people have found in it. So I find it kind of a humane subject in that respect. And yeah, it just has a real kind of groundedness to it that I really appreciate.